Okay, so, oh hey, I forgot. I'm bad at locking my door latches. I always do the center. We're gonna try to go cut some beans. I got a field I think has had enough drying time. I can get over it. I think we'll find out. There's still a pretty good sized spot along the woods. It's like and a spot in the center where there's still some water standing, but I don't know if I can get, well, we're gonna try it, because my tracks are on it as of right now, are sitting on a flatbed ready to head this way, but by the time the driver gets his time off from taking his last run and they get the paperwork ready to go through customs and yada yada yada, they won't be here till noon Sunday. So that's tentative. They could be here earlier, but that's what they're planning on. So long story short, I'm gonna go try to cut some beans, see if we can get a few more acres off before the weather takes a turn for the worst. We got chances of rain Thursday night, Friday morning, and then the weather's supposed to straighten back out Friday afternoon, Saturday, Sunday, and then we got rain Monday, Tuesday, snow Wednesday, and then it looks like it's supposed to straighten out again after that. So hopefully it holds true. We'll find out. So anyhow, I got to get the head hooked up real quick, give her a shot of grease. It's already been blown off and everything, and clean my windows real quick, and then we'll head over. So we'll catch you guys in a few minutes. Okay, we're here. The beans are plenty dry. The spots I got to worry about is basically like the first 30 feet along the road here, which this whole wet spot is completely 100% our county drainage commission's fault, because they're supposed to be, and you can kind of see it a little bit if you kind of sight like right here. There's supposed to be a ditch here. Supposed to be. There's actually a culvert under the driveway that is sedimented shut, and there's supposed to be a ditch from the base of that hill all the way down through here, across the driveway, across the next driveway, and then there's a concrete catch basin where everything collects and dumps into a creek. Well, as you can see, our county's drainage commission is so good at maintaining ditches that they just let them sediment shut, so that we have to redig them instead of just maintaining them. So especially that low spot right there, that's going to be an issue. And this ground will give you a false sense of security, because just because I can walk across it without leaving a footprint does not mean that it will hold a combine up. It might. We might get lucky, but I don't know how lucky we're going to get. This spot right here we don't have to worry about. This should be fine. I've got to worry about those end rows there, how they wrap along the woods, and then this low spot up here that I thought was not holding water when we came over and looked at it when I was soil sampling. Well, I came over here a couple days ago and walked down about 5 yards from where we were, and there's water standing down here in this swale. So smushy. So I got to worry about this low spot here. I got to worry about along the woods. I don't know. I think I'm going to try going that way, so I'm not climbing the hill trying to go back out. And if I come that way, we might be all right. So we'll see how. All we can do is try. Got to do something. So I guess we'll just see what happens. Alright, everybody cross your fingers and hold your breath. Okay, I got 4 passes on, you know, basically the 5 sides here, all the way around back to the hill. And then I was too heavy to get back through the back, and I made a pass up through the center to find the edge of the wet spot. So Dad's bringing me a truck. I'm gonna get unloaded, and I'm gonna work off the center of the field where the wet spot is while I got daylight. And then once that's gone, I don't worry about working off the back of the hill or anything here up front after it's dark, because I'm not scared of it. So if I can get the wet out, if I can get that wet spot taken care of while it's daylight out, we'll be golden. done. Went better than I thought it would. Although still running the heck out of probably 1.5 acres of it, which is more than I wanted, but at least we got across it. And I didn't have to leave any beans behind, and there's a pretty decent load on the truck, although you can't see that either because it's too dark. But I'm gonna run this thing back to Mom and Dad's for the night, because tomorrow after work there's one more field that I'm not going to be able to run the whole thing. It's too damn wet, but we can go get the high ground worked off of it and hopefully put a decent load in a truck. So, with that being said, we'll catch you guys tomorrow. Alright, Dad must have took off to take that load of beans we cut last night down to the elevator because the truck's not here. He's not here. I just got home from work. I did get some good news. Apparently the dispatcher and the truck driver didn't have a very good communication session, because the truck driver said, call me, and he's going to cross the border tomorrow at 8 as long as everything goes okay with customs, and that'll put him here tomorrow about noon. So we'll have all weekend to get them tracks on, which we got a pretty good shot of rain coming tonight, it sounds like. So so that's good news. But we're gonna go try to cut some more beans on some drier ground, high ground. I got to check the oil in this, or not to check the fuel. It shouldn't need grease because I only cut 5 acres. Sideways, but it'll work. Probably not even gonna bother cleaning the windows because the beans are so damn dry that the minute you hit the field, it's like poof, and the windows are dirty again. So that's pretty much pointless. More than I'm gonna need in there, so I don't gotta worry about that. I am gonna blow it off though. That's why I love this combine. This thing doesn't use hardly any fuel. If you're not mudding, cutting beans and wheat, it's under a gallon an acre, probably 3/4, 5/8 to 3/4 of a gallon an acre. Especially that new cutter bar. Last night, once I got out of that wet hole and got up on the high ground where I could actually scoot, man, that's the best. Because those first 2 fields of beans I cut way back at the beginning of October, the stems were all green and stuff, so it wasn't exactly normal cutting conditions. So last night on that high ground was the first time where the beans were actually dry and you were close to what beans would normally be cutting at. And man, does that new cutter bar, I mean, you can flat out get. The only thing that kept me slowed down was the fact that it was so dusty I couldn't see, so I had to kind of run. I mean, I was still pushing 3 miles an hour, but I probably could have done more. But anyhow, I'm gonna go get the leaf blower and blow this thing off real quick. Actually, I pull it down in the field and blow it off real quick, that way it's not here in the driveway. And hopefully Dad is back by then so I can touch base with him, and then we will get to the field. So we'll catch you guys here in a little bit. Alright, real quick. So all we're doing in this field, I'm not doing anything back there in that back corner. I'm not doing anything with the low ground in the front of this field. I mean, this up here is all blow sand, and look how damn wet. Look how much moisture is still in there. And that's after damn near 2 weeks of no rain. So I'm gonna get some of the beans off the high ground here, that whole corner, the high ground off the other side of the fence line. I cannot come too far over the crest of this hill because there's 2 springs that bubble out the side of it and it gets really soft. I think this hole right here is the start of one. So basically I'm going to work my way over as far as I can without cutting ruts, and we're going to kind of cut around the crest of the hill and back over toward the driveway, and everything else I'm going to wait till I get the tracks on, because this field here, of all of them, cannot be rutted up or I will never get it. We will never get it sorted back out next spring, because of all the fields I have, this one is probably wetter than the muck, and that's saying something. Because I don't know how shallow the water table is here, but you don't got to go very far to hit it. to put it into perspective, the guy that farmed this before me had hay on it, and he used to get stuck out here mowing hay. Like, that's how wet this field gets. You're just out mowing hay and then all of a sudden you're stuck. So, like I say, we're gonna get the high ground worked off. I figure at this point, my theory is the more beans I get off, the less I gotta worry about later. So the rest will come off when we get the tracks, but for now, we're gonna do what we can. And when we get done cutting, there's a little story that I'll tell about why this field is as wet as it is. But we'll do that later. First, let's get some actual work done. On the upside, these are awesome looking beans. Hopefully they yield as good as they look. These beans might do even better than I thought, because this is probably like 80 bushel off of, I think this is like 1.2 acres. It might not even be that big. Huh. Wow. That's a lot of beans off of not a lot of ground. Okay, Dad's bringing the truck, so real quick, while we're waiting on him, we'll get the quick story out of the way. So, the reason that this field is as wet as it is a direct result of somebody bringing too big of a combine out here when it was too wet, and they had zero business being out here to begin with. So I can vaguely remember as a kid this whole field being tillable, including all the wet spots back in there. This whole field used to be, you know, that wet spot here where all the cattails and everything are growing, that was all farmable. And at the time, there was a guy, hell, you can't see the farm, basically right kind of Kinney corner across the road there's a farm, and that guy farmed it. He has since passed away. But we had a really wet fall like this, and he was out here trying to cut, I think it was actually beans, trying to get beans cut, and kept getting stuck, couldn't get over it. So he had the local big time operator that lives out north of town, and I can't remember what combine he had at the time, but it was a big one, rear wheel assist, duals. I think it's actually, what's his conventional he's still got, a 9760, does that sound right? He's got it's the last series Deere conventional, and it's not the biggest one, but I think it's the second from the biggest one. I want to say it's a 9760, but anyway, pretty sure that's the one he brought out here. And this field was all tiled. This whole field was tiled. That whole back corner was tiled, but it was all old clay tile. So he came out here, brought that big old machine out here, and proceeded to cut it. And he could get across it because of that rear wheel assist, but he was cutting ruts. and he was sinking in so deep, and he cut the field up so bad he broke all the clay tile and the field quit draining, and this is what it turned into. Now that's unfarmable. That whole front low spot, I mean, it's obviously farmable, but it ain't fun. That whole spot, and there's the wet spot in that back corner that I can't get because it just stays wet all the time. So like I say, this field being in the mess that it is a direct result of somebody being out here with too big of a machine when they should have never been to begin with. So that being said, the landowner, my landlords, whatever, have said that they would eventually like to get this field retiled with some good plastic. There is a ditch over on the other side of the driveway in those trees that is fairly deep and should be, well, it was obviously deep enough for the clay to drain into, because that's where it all drained to. But they want to get this all retiled, and then I can farm through that wet spot, and this front field would be a big rectangle again, and get that field back in the back tiled so you can farm the whole thing and not have to go around wet spots. So eventually this field is going to get straightened out. It's just, and I would help them, like, say I'd pay half if you sign X years on a contract, but right now I'm trying to get that tile project done at my house, or at my grandparents' place, so that's where that's going. But also, since I'm standing here, I'm trying to figure this out too. I don't know if it's going to show up. Oh yeah, it's showing up on camera. So you see like sight right down between these two rows. You see how there's 4 like tawny rows here, and then 4, and then tan. And then you go and it does it again right here. There's 4. And I don't understand that, because I didn't have 2 bean varieties. I don't know why. But, and then it does it here, and then there's another one here. I can't explain that because it's all one bean variety, but it's 4 rows consistent all the way across the field. No clue why. And I can't tell. It looks like it's all on, well, here it looks like it's on 2 sides of the drill, because the row gets kind of wide right here, and then it gets kind of narrow up through here. Like it was 2 end rows on the drill, but I don't know, can't explain it. Doesn't make any sense. off is done. Everything I sectioned off up here is done. I'm gonna guess I got about 4.5, maybe 5 acres of it. There's a pretty decent load in the truck. So the rest we'll have to wait until the tracks get here so I don't run the field up. So gonna take the combine home, get it put away, and real quick I'll see what that weigh ticket is from what Dad hauled in so I can tell you what that field ran. Okay, real quick, so on that load that we cut the previous night here, beans turned out really nice. 58.9 test weight, nothing to complain about there. Moisture 10.7. If you'd have told me we were cutting 10% beans in November, I'd have called you a liar. Only 0.3 on the damage, 0.5 on the form material, no splits, which really surprised me being as dry as they were. 228.67 bushel off of 5 acres is 45.7, which it sure felt like they were running better than that. But I'm guessing what the deer took along those apple trees and along the back, there was about 4 passes. So it was 10, 40, and about 60 feet. Right, 62 feet. So that's probably what hurt that the most. Plus they got down there in that wet hole, they got pretty bad too from too much water. But still, 45.7, I'll take it, especially in a drought year. And that field's a little, the front in the high ground where I wasn't cutting in is obviously that's sandy. That stuff's, that's really sandy. And then you got the clay knob out in the back on that hill, and then obviously the wet hole. So I'll take it. Grain quality was excellent, so I'll take 45 bushel number 1 grade beans any day. The only thing I don't know is where they start docking for too dry. I think at 10.7 we're still good. It seems like if you get under 10%, then they start docking you for too dry. But 10.7 should be good. I don't know. I never checked. You never normally check your dock sheet for too dry of beans, because that's not something that, especially not in November. But anyway, with that being said, that's the 7300's last hoorah for the season. The rest is going to have to get done when we get the tracks down to get 700 so we don't cut the heck out of the field. And then I still got the 8 acres left over there where we cut them beans the first time after we got all this rain. So I think that's all I got for you. So with that said, that's it for this one. I'll catch you guys on the next one.